what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent video for this week for October 1st through the 6th, where I take a look at some of the stories that caught my attention, though, and give you my thoughts and my opinion. So why don't we get started with our My Two Cent story for My Two Cent video for this week, and for this one, we'll start off with part one, and for this one we're going to be talking about Toys R Us. Now, as some of you may remember, and I believe this was last year, Toys R Us recently filed for bankruptcy and closed pretty much almost, I think there may be a couple stores left, but pretty much closed a lot of stores, laying off a lot of employees. And it was a disappointment for a lot of people, especially those who may have grown up, going to Toys R Us and all that stuff, to their famous ads and so forth. Even my mother, who was a former preschool teacher, would used to go there and basically, buy stuff, like arts and crafts stuff for kids to use in preschool classes and so forth. So it certainly was a disappointment to see Toys R Us close. Well, apparently it seems as though Toys R Us could be making a comeback in a way. Though how big of a comeback, we don't know yet. But according to several articles, this one, again, link will be in the description. This one is from CNN Business. It's reporting that Toys R Us brand may be brought back to life. The company closed. Toys R Us may be coming back, according to CNN Business. The company closed all stores in June as part of a bankruptcy liquidation, but the owners of the company's remaining assets are looking into restarting the business, as well as the related Babies R Us brand, the company disclosed in a court filing this week. Toys R Us had plans to auction off the rights to its names and the Babies R Us brand. Bidders had already made offers for them, according to the filing, but the company's owners decided to cancel the auction. The company said it's considering a new operating Toys R Us and Babies R Us branding company. The filing said the plan would create new domestic retail operating businesses under the Toys R Us and Babies R Us name, as well as expand its international presence and further develop its private brand business. The details of how the brand will be brought back to life were not disclosed. The fact that other bidders were interested in buying the name doesn't necessarily mean that others were looking to bring it back to life. Companies often buy brands for out of business competitors in bankruptcy courts to make sure the brand cannot be used again by a new rival. Details of who was looking to buy Toys R Us brand also was not disclosed in the bankruptcy filing. And I believe, according to the CEO, I think according to a CEO who was quite disappointed. It says, quote, the CEO of Toys R Us was quite disappointed things came to this in his official statement on the closing. This has to do with, I think this was when this place closed, when they started closing up shops and all that stuff. Honestly, if this is true and and Toys R Us is getting a revival and a comeback, I think this is great. I think this is good news to see a beloved retail store make a comeback, though, after what happened to them, though. Although it is possible it might be in a different form than it is from the old days, back when a lot of us remember how Toys R Us was. So I've been hearing, and this is a discussion I had also. I had a little bit of a chat when I was talking with my parents. I was meeting them and all that, and brought this up, and they were saying it could be the kind of situation where you could see like a Toys R Us, in a certain place, like how there are some stores in JC Penney's and all that stuff. You might see something similar to that approach for the Toys R Us brand and all that stuff, and including, of course, the Babies R Us as well. What kind of approach, if that's true or not, remains to be seen. It will be very interesting to see if it's how they're going to approach this, to be exact. Will there be a limit in certain things that they have in there? Will we still see the whole, frame? You know what Toys R Us was famous for? The ads of bicycles to video games, and all that stuff. So if this is true, I'm very curious to see how this all plays out, to be exact. But overall, if this is correct, if this is true and they could pull it off, then it's great that Toys R Us is making a comeback, even if it's in a different form and capacity than it was in the past, to be exact. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2 about what appears to be a leaked Harry Potter game that could be in development before WB took down the videos, to be exact. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a possibility of a leak footage of, or at least reports of a leak footage that came out of that WB Games could be working on a brand new Harry Potter game. Now, sometime this week, though, supposedly a leak footage of what many believe to be a game in development was basically a new game set in the whole Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts universe, to be exact. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan or anything like that. I don't hate the movies or anything like that. I just never really got into that series, though, as much as, say, like other people do. But make no mistake, there's an audience for it, and so forth. And so when this footage came out, it was amazing about how WB sort of took the footage, put down a copyright strike to have these videos taken down, though many are now speculating it to be true, this game to be true, to be exact. From an article on Eurogamer, they did an update of someone who put out a tweet talking about basically pointing out, saying, quote, and this is from Todd Phillips, saying, "Am told this is from a yet to be announced RPG currently titled Harry Potter's Magic Awakening. Although other titles, including Magic Forever, are also in the mix, other Harry Potter games are also thought to be on the way." Basically, he's referring to a story that he, I think, posted, which is basically, this was on, I think, when was this again? Oh yeah. Oh no, I think this was. Forgot what the date was. I think it was sometime this week, though. Yeah. So it's basically said, quote, "Footage claimed to be an under wraps Harry Potter project appear online. The video looked professionally made, and now sources with knowledge of the project have confirmed to Eurogamer that the project is indeed real and currently in development. The footage first appeared on Reddit courtesy of a poster called Vape This Bro, VAPETHISBRO, whatever. Okay, once go with that name, though. Who claims he was shown the video as part of some marketing research. In his words, he said, quote, "Do you think a random internet stoner would have the skills and patience to create this video? I wouldn't know, but anything is possible." I mean, it is possible someone could actually create a fake video like this. We've seen that happen before in the past, though. The video features sweeping vista of Hogwarts from the Harry Potter books and films, creatures who have been debuted in subsequent Harry Potter spin-off movie series, Fantastic Beasts, plus character creator, third-person combat mechanics, and large set pieces, though. Warner Brothers has now removed the footage on YouTube due to a copyright claim, although mirrors of it are still available. Posted along the video was a press release sounding description of the game, which mentions a 19th century setting starring a fifth-year student who joined Hogwarts as a late arrival. You'll be able to curse and possibly kill dark wizards and goblins. Choose from 8 character classes, either act good or evil. While it's not The Witcher 3, it sounds more mature in tones than Harry Potter games were used to. Fingers initially pointed to Batman Arkham developer Rocksteady being behind the game, which would make sense of source. Rocksteady is a British studio and is owned by Harry Potter game publisher Warner Bros. Interactive. More to the point, Rocksteady has been silently working away on its next project now for some time, almost similar to how Retro Studio is, but Eurogame sources with knowledge of Rocksteady's next game has confirmed this Harry Potter thing is not it. So if not Rocksteady, and not a random internet stoner, then who might else be working on Harry Potter role? Set up Utah-based Aulx Studio, which previously made the Disney Infinity series, created the Disney Infinity series though, not to be confused with Swedish Aulx Studios of Just Cause fame. After the cancellation of Disney's Infinity back in 2016, Aulx was briefly closed but then brought up by Warner Bros. Interactive. The developer's own subset project to date has been a Cars 3 film tie-in launched in June 2017, but Aulx have been staffing up for a larger project for some time. Job posting from early 2017 call for staff with a deep understanding of British culture and grammaristics presentation, if I'm saying that, pardon me if I'm not saying that name correctly, with a good knowledge of game narrative and branch storytelling, particularly in the realm of RPGs. Other postings around the same time also describe Aulx's next project as an RPG, large-scale console game project, and a AAA-sized title. Whispers we've heard align with Aulx being behind the project, and I've been told the Warner publisher game is still currently at least a year away from launch, which also fits the timeline of Aulx's development studio. This is kind of interesting if this turns out to be true. The idea of this kind of approach of a Harry Potter game, even though I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, would be really interesting to try this one out. Of course, the last Harry Potter game happened to be the one for the mobile devices, which was notoriously famous for where they could quote, if I'm saying this correctly, at least according to what the article is, was a free-to-play Hogwarts mystery, the one which strangles your avatar until you either wait or pay up real money, though, which, you know, the whole pay-to-win kind of situation, to be exact. But if this is true, if somehow this turns out to be true, I would be very interested to try this one out. The idea of it being possibly a open world RPG like approach in the world of Harry Potter does sound very interesting, even though I've said this before, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. If this is, and assuming this is true, the interesting is what systems will it go to, though. I do believe if it is a console game, though, I do believe PS4 or Xbox One is certainly a shoo-in, though, with the PC, the possibility as well. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we suddenly hear this coming to, say, the PS5 or the Xbox Scarlet. As far as the Switch version goes, you know, the Nintendo fan side of me would be happy with this coming to Nintendo Switch, and I certainly would not be against it, though. But I'm not sure if WB is going to bring it over to the Switch. Up to this point, their support has been, well, outside of Lego City Undercover probably being the best Lego game out there, though, they haven't really supported Nintendo with big AAA titles or anything like that. Now, I don't know if some of it is that they don't know if they could squeeze it into the Switch or not, though, so I'm not sure about this one. I think it would be a perfect fit for the Nintendo Switch. I would like to see it come to the Nintendo Switch, but I just don't know if WB Games will do that or not. But overall, although we don't have official confirmation and we don't know if this is true or not, given the fact that Warner Brothers has issued some copyright takedowns, I'm leaning towards, at this point, this being true for now, though. We'll have to wait and see until we get official confirmation, but if what this description is correct about this, I would definitely be down with trying this Harry Potter game out. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3 of our video. And this one, we're talking about FIFA 19, ranging from its sales and of how well it did in the UK, to even the discovery of the odds of the whole loot box situation, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My Net video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at FIFA 19, as 2 interesting stories came out of it, both its sales and recently its loot box controversy. I'm sure by now everyone knows the name EA and the reputation they have earned over the years, though. But what really put them in the limelight even more now is over what they did with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the whole loot box and microtransaction controversy that happened, and that caused some backlash and outrage to the point that it got a lot of people upset, even to the point where even the Belgian government is now basically possibly looking at criminal charges against EA over what they view as loot boxes, as now they consider that as a form of gambling. Now, whether or not this will actually go through or not remains to be seen, so we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out, to be exact. But apparently some information has come out regarding the loot boxes that's in FIFA 19, and they certainly give you an idea of why EA is pushing this whole live services and loot box kind of situation. According to Cinema Blend, it is reported that they're reporting that FIFA 19 loot boxes odds are worse than you think. Electronic Arts created a massive storm of outrage and discussion involving all sorts of legless, all sorts of legless, Legalese, apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, regarding gambling, and of course, brand new bans on loot boxes being featured in premium games within Belgium and the Netherlands. Some regions felt that if publishers were going to include the digital equation of gambling in their games, that then those same publishers also have license if they're going to include loot boxes in the games. Some other regions dictated that if publishers are going to include loot boxes in premium titles, they would need to include the percentage for the win rates, and oh boy, some of those numbers fascinating. FIFA 19 was one of the games where the win percentages were unrevealed, and you probably will not be surprised by the results. Eurogamer did a short article on the percentage of certain cards players will be able to acquire for the FUT packs in FIFA 19. The most startling stats was for a super rare player card under the category of ones to watch. These cards represent players with breakout stats and usually recently transferred, like Cristiano Ronaldo, if I'm saying the name correctly, pardon me if I'm not, who moved from Real Madrid to Juventus, or some other players. I apologize, I have a hard time saying their names, though. Again, links in the description, you can check it out yourself. These one-to-watch cards are ranked higher than the standard gold cards, and there are only 23 exclusives OTW cards available across the FUT packs. So what are your odds of getting your hands on these 23 ultra rare cards? Less than 1%. As pointed out by Eurogamer, this means you could technically have a 0.001% chance of getting your hands on the cards, or as high as a 0.9% chance of getting your hands on the cards. Either way, it's less than 1%. You could technically spend intolerance or a huge amount of cash on the FUT packs, which are equivalent to loot boxes, and after opening 100 or so packs, you still may not get your hands on the OTW version, or the one to watch versions. Even more than that, the percentage rate for the OTW cards in general, not the players in particular, meaning you have less than 1% chance of getting your hands on a OTW card, and even smaller chance of getting your hands on the players you actually want. This figure isn't guesstimated or some sort of analytic representation from a separate firm. The figure comes directly from Electronic Arts' own computer simulation. According to the publisher, the contents of the packs are dynamically generated and the probability are verified by EA's own in-house figures. That means firsthand, you have less than 1% chance of getting an OTW card for FIFA 19. The ratings change dramatically depending on the stats of players as well, where those ratings, a 85 plus rating has a 4.3 chance of being unlocked, and those with a rating of 82 plus have a 41% chance of being open, while there's a 100% chance you'll get a 75 plus player in a card back. In simple terms, you would have to spend a lot of money on the card packs to get your hands on a FIFA 19 OTW version of Cristiano Ronaldo. So basically, in other words, it's their way of saying, hey, you want to get that character you want? Cough up the dough, to be exact. And that is really scummy, though. And you wonder why people don't like EA. You wonder why EA has been the most hated company recently, though, is when they pull, pardon my language, crap like this. This is why a lot of people are very iffy about the whole idea of loot boxes and microtransactions. This is why last week, where some people were pretty upset with Capcom's decision to put microtransaction in Devil May Cry 5, you could understand and see why people are upset, is when you have companies like EA that pull this kind of crap, though, every single time with a lot of the games. And I'm sorry, but people are not going to buy the player choice option at this time, even if your attention in terms of the microtransactions are not done in a way to create a pay to win or try to force people to use them. Even if your intention's not to do that, though, thanks to what EA did, though, especially with Star Wars Battlefront 2, though, any attempt to try to defend microtransactions is not going to work. It's because of EA's actions and because what they did with loot boxes and microtransactions has already put it in a bad name, though. Not to mention, it amazes me how developers, even those that develop single-player games, defend this when you have games like Spider-Man that came out that did very well and had no loot boxes or microtransactions at all. I mean, you've even seen some complaints with Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now about some people who are upset with the microtransactions in the game, and I don't disagree with it. Although, I would like to state for the record, for that game, though, I've been playing it, though, and so far, I haven't run into any situations where I had to use the microtransaction. Now, just to be clear, this is early in the game, though. I don't know what's going to happen later on in the game. That situation could change. It is a possibility that could happen, but as of right now, where things stand right now, I haven't run into a situation where I had to use the microtransaction, nor was it advertised to me, nor was it in a way advertised in a situation that's forcing me to use it whatsoever. But anyway, going back on topic, though, this is a good example of why there are certainly a lot of people who hate EA. And despite the hate that EA has gotten, that doesn't seem to have stopped FIFA 19 from taking the #1 spot in the UK, though, with a few caveats to be exact. According to Eurogamer, it says Eurogamer's sister site Game Industry Buzz reported FIFA 19 is the biggest UK video game launch of 2018 after going on sales last week as expected, but physical launch sales are down by a quarterly versus FIFA 18. Supposedly it's down by 25%, though. According to the site, 64% of the sales went to the PlayStation 4 version, 35% went to the Xbox One version, leaving just 1% just leaving 1% for the Nintendo Switch version, though. There is your EA support for the Nintendo Switch, right there, though. Sales of the legacy version of the game, PS3 and 360 versions, were too low to register. It's worth context. And they pointed out that some of the drop could be the fact that people are choosing to download the game rather than buy a physical copy. So they're saying physical copies are expected to decline. In fact, EA encouraged this shift, selling limited early access to FIFA 19 via its Origins program, which you can then upgrade to the full version with a discount while carrying your progress across. But the 25% drop in physical sale is the biggest than most predicted for FIFA 19, so perhaps we're seeing the Fortnite effect in play here. There's a great deal of overlaps of FIFA and Fortnite players in the UK, with FIFA 19 launching the same week as Epic's Battle Royale kicks off its wholly anticipated 6th season. Perhaps the kids were happy to keep on shooting for free rather than asking their parents for £40 for the new FIFA. Wherever the case, UK game retailers, which rely on FIFA as one of their biggest revenue drivers, will be winching after a tough week. It goes without saying that FIFA 19 shoots straight to the #1 spot in the UK, knocking off Spider-Man off its pedestal, though. And interesting enough, Valkyrie Chronicle 4, game I have right here from the Nintendo Switch, though, is the only new release in the top 40, though, placing in 9th place, which isn't bad. And for what I've heard, though, it seems between the 3 versions that came out in the UK, I think the PS4 sold the most, with the Switch in 2nd place and Xbox One in 3rd place. So, despite the controversy EA has gone through, and despite the recent discoveries of the odds of getting certain players through the loot box, though, it seems to have not stopped FIFA from taking the #1 spot, at least in the UK so far, even though physical sales are down. We'll have to wait and see how things play out, but it looks like overall FIFA 19 seems to be doing well in the UK, even though I think what EA is doing is very scummy and very anti-consumer, to be exact. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 4 of our video, and this one's going to be taking a look at a rumor about the possibility that Nintendo could be developing a brand new Nintendo Switch, and that we could see it next year. So, we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My Choose That video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a report coming out that Nintendo could be working on a new Nintendo Switch. Sort of, depending on how you want to look at this, though. Now, as I'm sure most of you are aware right now, since the Switch was released back in March of 2017, it has certainly performed very well for Nintendo, and has certainly put them in a good spot after the failure of the Wii U, which it's really unfortunate what happened to the Wii U, but a lot of bad decisions unfortunately put the Wii U in the spot that it is right now, though. And while the Switch is certainly doing well, that's not to say that the system doesn't have its share of criticisms, though. One of those, of course, is obviously the voice chat, and the decision you have to use your phone or an app to use the voice chat, compared to, say, how Xbox One, PS4, and PC users use voice chat, to be exact. And as a side note, I don't exactly agree with Reggie's comment saying because we like to do things different. That's okay to a certain extent, though, but you have to understand that you also have your competitors as well. It's one thing to do something different, but you also have to look at what are they doing right, but what are they also doing wrong. And in the case of the voice chat, even though I'm not a voice chat person, I honestly have to say this is an area where Nintendo is doing wrong. I'm sorry, but the fact that you have to use a voice chat, you have to use an app to use voice chat compared to taking like one of the headset with the microphone and plugging it into the controller and all, it just feels like it's more work into something that really should not require that much work. So sorry, Reggie, I don't buy that argument. I think you're wrong on that one, to be exact. But back on point though, it seems as though that Nintendo may be releasing a new Switch, at least according to what the Wall Street Journal is certainly reporting right now. From an article on GameStop, where did that? Oh dear, that. Hold on, let me see if I can get it back up. Shoot, I must have. Okay, let me get it back up. Must have missed it though. Okay, according to what GameSpot is saying though, a new Nintendo Switch model is coming next year to help keep sales going strong. This is according to a report from the Wall Street Journal, and according to what the Wall Street Journal is reporting though, according to read the full, you have to subscribe to it. No, I'm not doing that though. Okay. Which source the information to suppliers and other people with direct knowledge of Nintendo's plan. Nintendo is still debating what new hardware and software features to include in the upgrade and weighing the cost of the features. People with knowledge of the discussion, said Wall Street Journal. One possibility is that Nintendo will improve the Switch display with the update, sources says. As Wall Street Journal points out, the display on the current edition of Switch lacks some of the tech found in modern smartphones. A new display could make the tablet smaller and more energy efficient. Sources tell the Wall Street Journal that the updated Switch model could launch as soon as summer 2019. It is expected and normal for platform holders to update their console over time, in part due to new technology become viable and to drive interest and continue sales. Wall Street Journal reported in March that Nintendo would wait until 2019 or later to release the first Switch hardware revision, with the company instead focusing on beefing up the Switch Online feature. This is precisely what happened as Nintendo recently launched its Nintendo Switch Online paid membership. Importantly, the new Switch model does not appear to be a generational change like the one from the Wii U to Switch, but instead a small-scale upgrade of components such as potentially the display and other elements. Wall Street Journal reports specifically state that the new Switch model will share many features with the original model and play existing games, though. I have to say I'm kind of mixed on this one, to be exact, though. While a revised version of the Nintendo Switch isn't that surprising, considering that when you look at past hardware, there have been revisions before, going back to the Game Boy, that went through several different revisions. It got a redesign before it went to the Game Boy Color. It also went to, the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP. We saw the DS went through a revision before, from the big bulky one to the DS Lite to the DS, I think, X or something like that, to like the DX XXL. 3DS, of course, we all know that's gotten through a revision before, from the original to what is now the new Nintendo 3DS, which we can now safely call it the current 3DS. Even a lot of the consoles have gone through several redesigns. The PS4 went to that, to the PS4 Pro, Xbox One to Xbox One S, Xbox One X, and of course we're having the reports of Scarlet or Xbox Scarlet, whatever they're going to call it. So the revision is not surprising that Nintendo would do this. I just wondering if it's too soon. I mean, the system just came out, and it just came out last year. I feel as though, I just feel that it would have been better to wait till at least maybe 2020 or 2021 before doing a revised version of the Nintendo Switch. So I'm kind of mixed on this though. Feel it might be a little bit too early, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that they are doing a revised version though. As far as what the revised version could be, obviously it could be this new screen. I mean, it could be something big. Like, it is possible we could see something like, given the partnership NVIDIA and Nintendo has had, and I think I've said this before many times, we could see a new mobile or system on the chip in the Nintendo Switch. Possibly something along the Tegra X2 line, to maybe using something like, say, Pascal, which is often used in some of NVIDIA's graphic cards, to the possibility of create something completely original and new that takes maybe certain elements of that though. Or it's possible they could just be revising and fixing some of the hardware to prevent people there have been reports of how hackers have hacked into the system, exploited a lot of the stuff in it as well. So it's possible this update may not be as big though, so it could go both ways to be exact though. But overall, I'm not surprised a revision of the Nintendo Switch is happening. I'm just kind of mixed with the idea of releasing it next year if that turns out to be true or anything. Maybe in 2020 and 2021 to be exact, maybe around the time that we assume the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet will come out and all that, but I'm just very mixed on this one. And how do you don't alienate, those early adapters who picked up a Nintendo Switch to be exact. So they have to be very careful about that. But overall, mixed on this one. Not sure about it being released next year, but I'm not surprised that we could see a revised version of the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 5, our last video, and this one has to do with the rumors of a possibility that Kingdom Hearts 3 could come to the Nintendo Switch. Bear in mind, I'm saying could. I'm not saying it will or anything like that. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 5th and final part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a rumor that Kingdom Hearts 3 could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3 has been in development for quite a bit, though. There have been many different situations with the game, to the point where we learned that they switched over, no pun intended, to the Unreal Engine 4 to be exact. So for a while, we've been waiting for a long time, and there's always been a recurring joke of how long we'll have to wait for Kingdom Hearts 3, although Square Enix has a history of a lot of times of us waiting for certain games and then, of course, changing during mid-development to ultimately making some, well, let's just say some decisions, like what we saw with Final Fantasy VII Remake, where now it seems to be they're starting from scratch and they kind of, well, screwed up in a way, though, to be exact. But in either case, it seems as though there is a chance we might see Kingdom Hearts 3 come to Nintendo Switch. According to Screen Rant, though, they are reporting, and again, links will be in the description below, is that, excuse me, a new rumor suggests that the upcoming action-adventure fantasy game Kingdom Hearts 3 could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Announced at E3 2013, Kingdom Hearts 3 has been in development for quite some time, making the game one of the most highly anticipated titles of 2019. Though originally expected to release on the PS4 and Xbox One in 2018, the game was pushed back to January of next year. As the fastest selling console in US history, the Nintendo Switch has already become a major success by quickly outselling the Wii U. The Switch has sold an impressive 20 million units. Nintendo will, I talked about in the other part, that will launch an updated version if that rumor turns out to be true. Due to the console's popularity, a number of major titles have already been ported over to the Switch, including Dragon Ball FighterZ, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Fortnite, and Doom. and now they're reporting that a YouTube user by the name of Dreamcast Guy claims to have information from an anonymous source about the possibility of Kingdom Hearts 3 being ported to the Nintendo Switch. According to the rumor, Square Enix is interested in bringing the game to the Switch, but has yet to make a decision. Apparently, Square Enix is concerned about how well it will sell on the consoles, though. As far as this one goes, though, obviously right now it's considering a rumor, despite the fact coming from the YouTuber Dreamcast Guy at this time, though. I will say it's not out of the realm of a possibility, though. I think a series like that could fit onto series like that could be perfect for a Nintendo console, to be exact. After all, I do believe that I think 2 of the Kingdom Hearts games have come to a Nintendo console before. One is Chain of Memories. That was I believe on the Game Boy Advance, and then I think they did a remake of that though. And the other one, of course, is Dream Drop Distance that came to the Nintendo 3DS. So it's not out of the so they have come to Nintendo systems before, but mostly in the handheld part. This I wouldn't rule out completely, though, okay? Although we don't know for certain, and we don't know if they're going to take the route that Capcom's doing with Resident Evil 7, or Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Japan only, where it's just through a streaming or anything like that. I could see Kingdom Hearts 3 coming to the Nintendo Switch, being that the system does support Unreal Engine 4, and I believe there was an update to the Unreal Engine 4 recently. I think that was 4.20, if I'm saying that correctly. Apologize if I'm saying it wrong, to be exact. So I do think it opens the door. I do think that given that game runs on Unreal Engine 4 and Switch supports Unreal Engine 4, I do think it's not out of the realm of the possibility that Kingdom Hearts 3 could come to the Nintendo Switch. I think the question is, should they decide to bring it to Nintendo Switch? What kind of compression or optimization they would have to do to this version to make it run properly onto the Nintendo Switch, and how big of a visual downgrade would we see on this one? I don't know if it's a graphically demanding game or not, though. I'm not sure if it is, compared to, say, like Doom or Wolfenstein 2, where don't get me wrong, it plays great on the Switch, it runs well on the Switch, but you could see the difference between that and how it ran on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC for that matter, though. I also think, and I've heard this before, that I also think if they're going to bring Kingdom Hearts 3 to the Switch, and assuming this is true, I think they should do, like, bring the Kingdom Hearts collection over. Bring over all the Kingdom Hearts game. The first one, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, I think Decoded, I think it was the 365 Days one, if I'm saying the name correctly. Of course, Kingdom Hearts 2 and all. So, if you're bringing Kingdom Hearts 3 over to the Nintendo Switch, I think you should bring the older Kingdom Hearts games over as well for Switch owners as well. And I could see the possibility of them bringing them over. I mean, after all, Octopath Traveler sold very well on the Nintendo Switch, and that was an exclusive for that system. So Square Enix may be kind of rethinking, and it's possible they may consider bringing Kingdom Hearts 3 over. Again, we don't know. We don't know if this is true or not. We'll have to wait until we hear an official confirmation if it does turn out to be true or not. But overall, I could see the possibility of them bringing Kingdom Hearts 3 to Nintendo Switch, though. We just have to wait to see if there is an official confirmation, and if this rumor that Dreamcast Guy is reporting turns out to be true or not. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinions. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the possibility that Toys R Us could be making a comeback? Do you think this is great? Do you think this is good news? Do you think it will be the Toys R Us we all remember? Or do you think we might see much differently than what it is? Are you glad Toys R Us is coming back, or do you think it's best that, you know what, it's from a bygone era, it should probably be laid to rest? What are your thoughts about this rumor about this new Harry Potter game being in development? Rumors about it being in development. Would you be interested in this kind of game? Do you think the footage that was leaked out is legitimate, or do you think it's probably false and not true at all? What are your thoughts about FIFA 19 though, and the whole loot box controversy? Do you think, and what they said, that the odds of getting these certain players are probably less than 1%? Do you think this is a big deal? Do you think it's not a big deal? Do you think it's another example of EA pushing, you know, the monetization and the whole gambling thing? And do you think, and what about the sales number? Do you think, are you glad the game's doing well, or you're not glad the game's not doing well? What are your thoughts about the possibility that a new Nintendo Switch could be in development and could be released sometime next year in 2019? Do you believe that this is going to happen? Are you excited for a new Nintendo Switch? Do you feel that this is too soon? Do you think they should have waited till 2020 to 2021? And what would you like to see in a new Nintendo Switch if this turns out to be true? And finally, what are your thoughts about the possibility that Kingdom Hearts 3 could come to the Nintendo Switch? Do you see this happening? Do you not see this happening at all? Do you think there may be some technical hurdles that Square Enix may have to go through if they want to make the game run on the Nintendo Switch? Or do you think that, being that the Switch supports Unreal Engine 4 and Kingdom Hearts 3 is running on Unreal Engine 4, do you believe that they're not going to run into any technical hurdles whatsoever? And what kind of optimization and compression do you think they'll have to go through in order to make this game run well on the Nintendo Switch? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure to hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I do. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!